about them and Chandler.
Where would you be without them? The truth is, you wouldn't be here at all. No, I'm not talking about your clothes or your sanity, though that may well apply to them too. What I am talking about is your parents, of course. Yours and mine. They brought us into the world, nurtured us till we could fly. But what do? We just dashed out the door. So I say, they remember us more often than we might realize. So today, I say let's remember them. But first, time for you to meet my parents. Precious little things, aren't they? One of them even made this cushion for me. And from there, I've celebrated this for many years. So I'm going to pass them around so you can get acquainted. I'll only ask that you keep them slightly elevated so that we can all see, and I'll collect them at the end. But tonight is about my parents. But actually, it can also be about yours. And you might think to yourself, are you similar to one more than the other? Maybe in terms of character, or even, dare I say, traits? In my case, I think so. And you'll see from the cushion, I'm on this unstoppable trajectory from mum's full head of hair towards dad's sparse sprinkles. And of course, I'll let you decide at what part of the journey I'm at. So more about my mum and dad. They were both from very large families. Mum was one of 4 and dad was one of 6. And they were both born into an era of the World War II. They were literally toddlers, which was food rationing, being bombed almost every night by the Germans. And in my mom's case, actually being evacuated to the countryside for a couple of years because their house had got flattened. In fact, on the night their house was bombed, my mother and her family had to be extricated by the fire department. Which just goes to show you what life was like back then. My father lived close to an air base called Biggin Hill, which is very famous in the Battle of Britain. And he used to tell me that him and his toddler friends used to go to the top of that hill and watch the fighters shoot each other down. That was what kids did for entertainment in those days. Very different to you or I. And I think this really permeated their entire existence. It was always uncertainty. But fate had it that they met at ballroom dancing, something that maybe we don't do as much today. And it just occurred to me that swipe left and swipe right were things they did with their legs, whereas today we do it with our fingers. Well, this gave them an adventurous spirit. And they eventually moved to Africa, which is where I made a late entry. And I have to say, being born later on in life probably impacted their parental style, if you will. Not unlike today. Lots of carrot and not much stick. Psychology was the chief weapon. You know, my mom had this expression that she used to use a lot, and I call it the easy way and the hard way. And she would say to me, Andrew, normally when I was going to make a decision, she would say, Andrew, of course there's the easy way or the hard way, but I'll let you make that decision. What she really meant was, you're about to make a very dumb decision. And if you want to bash your head against the wall, then please do so. So after a while, you can imagine when mum typically is right, eventually you just give up. It's like Sun Tzu. And voluntary compliance has been achieved. Well, fast forward. This expression got used throughout my life. And even today, it gets used. So my father, unfortunately, a few years ago, had a stroke, and he lost the use of his speech. But that didn't actually impact our communication. We found our own way of still communicating. My mom, for her part, I think she's done a tremendous job in adapting to a world that she was not prepared for. She never learned computers, but she's pretty good at the iPad now. She's doing her dumbbells while watching TV. And she's like a sponge for any kind of information that I can share her about the latest trends in California. But you know, most of the time, we spend our time swapping family stories because we know that one day, that's all I'll have. And that kind of got me thinking about parents in general and what it takes to be a good one. You know, some of us here may become parents one day. So I did some research, and most of it's common sense. You need to love your children. But, you would spend time with them, you'll lighten up, don't take yourself so seriously, And above all, just try to be the best role model you can. Well, it occurs to me that actually we could apply these principles in reverse, and how to be a good daughter or son. As a kid, where's my cushion? Waiting for me. As a kid, I will never forget being marched outside the house one day to eat outside with our pets because my father, bless him, had eventually decided that my table manners were just too bad. I'll never forget my mom dealing the flip-flop more than a few times. Probably I would have to say well deserved. And in all these cases, why do I not forget them? Is because they're a standing joke in our family right now. But the truth is, it's been the easy way for me all along. The hard way came last week when I got the call from Mum that Dad had passed away. And so it really occurred to me, it was 3 weeks since I was going to go and see him again. And every year I would go back and see him. And each year I would come back and I'd say, please Lord, just let me see him one more time. But obviously this was the year not meant to be. And so with a sad heart, I obviously have to go back next week, and attend his funeral. And I'd have to say, cherish your parents while you still have them. Because the truth is, you won't have them for long. And if you're like me, you can celebrate their memory. But above all, be grateful you have them. Because without them, you wouldn't be sitting there today. Mr. Toastmaster.